welcome. This is Motorsport Radio. This is the Superbike Show. Hello, good evening. We are live right now. It is myself, Lester Forbes, and we have our awesome panel of attentive guests back once again on the show with us, diligently waiting for his pie and chips. It is Michael Howarth. Good evening, Michael.
Howdy. I'm waiting for my face. That wasn't
a racial stereotype. He is genuinely waiting for his dinner right now. So if you get for his tea, so if he gets a bit grumpy in the show, you'll see him. Anyway, hello and welcome back to the show, Jay King. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Lester. How has your week been?
Yeah, it's been a week, hasn't it? It's been busy. I don't know. Maybe it's my age, but things are going quickly, pretty regularly now. I can't keep up.
Well, we should all be back to normal soon. Now the vaccine's going out next week, shouldn't we?
Don't start all that. And also joining us from a brand new location, regular listeners might know, or viewers might recognise, it is Trystan Finocchiaro. Good evening, Trystan.
Good evening, Esther. Yeah, I've got a brand new room for tonight, all ready to go.
Excellent. We won't inquire any more into that. We will just say hello and welcome. Joining us.
You'll be seeing it more often.
Okay. Well, that's good news for someone. Mm-hmm. On the show later, we will have Kyle Ryde from OMG Racing. Hopefully, I say hopefully because, we've not tested his internet connection. And there's his pie, Michael Howarth, tucking in.
Got my pie. I'll take it out a shot in a second.
No, well, it's already there now. We can already see it. We might as well have a proper look. So, what sort is it? Is it Holland's pie?
Don't be disgusting. That's a Lancashire pie. No, this is just a good old steak pie from Murray Bob's with marifat peas and some proper homemade chips. It's a dream. Oh, that's grand. Yeah, I'll get back to that when we've got a guest on.
Excellent. Fantastic.
How wonderfully professional of me, I know. I'm sorry.
Well, someone did suggest that your style of commentary is a bit like pie and chips, but we'll get on to that a little bit later. But coming up on the show, on the Superbike Show, we are live tonight. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Kyle Ryde from OMG Racing, hopefully will be on to discuss and tell us all about his season and how excited he is for the OMG Racing team this year, and also Brad Ray coming up on the show very, very shortly to tell us roughly about the same. Hopefully, he'll be telling us some things that we don't know about his experience over the past, say, 12 months, maybe, and maybe who is the best of all time, not necessarily MotoGP, it could be World Superbikes, or even, dare I say it, Formula One.
You don't bring up Formula One on this show.
No, don't bring Formula One, because people don't like Formula One, except a lot of people. It is the world's most watched motorsport, of course. God.
Yeah, but we don't talk about it here.
The only reason they like Formula One is because they've never watched motorcycle racing.
Oh, the motorcycle racing fans who also like Formula One, you mean?
I don't think you're going to find many of them.
No, that's very few between.
You've got to say, though, it was a good do that Roman Grosjean got out of that crash at
Yeah,
sure. Oh, yeah. Even though we've never seen it because we don't all watch it because it's crap, right?
Well,
I mean, it wasn't.
We couldn't really get away from that, Lester. It was everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So
posted on TT Facebook a fake letter issued by the FIA about him not replacing his steering wheel once he got out of the car, and people are actually believing it. I just like, oh my God. How can anybody believe that is real? It's even got spelling mistakes in. Oh, wow. Yeah, they're going to fine him for jumping out the car on fire and not putting his steering wheel back to cleanse.
Well, we never engage in such hearsay and scurrilous gossip here on the Superbike Show. Definitely not.
Do.
Well, you might as well, but I don't know about that particular rumour. But anyway, yeah, it definitely was a good result for that guy who drove that car in that race at the weekend, which we don't talk about ever, because this is all about bikes, yay! And you're not allowed to like anything else, like football or anything. Eddie O'Shea, any questions for him or Brad or Kyle Ryde, then dive onto the comments box in the comments box below. But first, Trystan, we have a quick catch-up and a roundup of some news. What's been going on?
Yeah, over in the World Superbike world, we've got some news coming out. Obviously, the calendar's been announced this week, which has been long waited for. So that's the calendar for 2021. No Australia on the calendar, which I'm sure a few people are going to be a bit upset about, because obviously that's normally the traditional first round. So they're going to be starting off at Assen, and there's only going to be the 2 non-European rounds, and that's going to be the Mandalika circuit in Indonesia, and they're going to be returning to Argentina for the San Juan circuit as well. Also, we'll see them back at Donington. Obviously, we didn't see them at Donington this year, but there's going to be no Supersport 300 and no World Supersport at Donington. Only World Superbike are going to be at Donington Park, which is going to be interesting, considering the numbers have been sort of a little bit less than have been in the past at Donington.
What's the reason behind not having those 2 classes?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Scheduling stuff.
Scheduling stuff.
Yeah.
I'd hope maybe they'd do some support races there, maybe take the BSB stock thousands or something like that there. You would hope.
Yeah. You can't really just have a full weekend of just Superbike.
2 races.
Then no one's going to turn up, are they? Absolutely no one's going to turn up.
Well, we might get on to more in depth about that a bit later on. We also do have some other big news to dive into, which we will get onto a bit later in the show regarding the, if you've not heard, I'm sure that you already have, but some people might not have heard, regarding the TT in 2021. And also breaking news today in BSB regarding some team news and also World Supersport news. We will get onto that later on. But first, Trystan, we have our first guest. Would you like to introduce them?
Yeah, BSB race winner Brad Ray is joining us on the show for tonight. It's going to be the first of our many guests we've got on the show tonight. Brad, how are we doing?
How you doing? All right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can hear you fine here. Spot on. No, that's perfect. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show and coming on to talk to us.
No problem.
Obviously, you've recently signed a new contract. You're going to be racing with OMG for 2021. How does it feel to have that signed and out of the way?
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, after the year we've had this year with the Cinetic BMW team, and obviously being such a short season, it's nice to get a contract under our belt. It's nice to stay on the BMW again for 2021, a bit of continuity. I feel the bike has got good potential. We didn't really get a chance to maybe improve the package as much as what we needed to this year. So rolling into 2021, I feel that we can do that with the OMG team with the new BMW that's coming out as well. So really looking forward to it and really happy to get that contract signed.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you're going to be on the new BMW next year that's going to be coming out. Are you excited to hop your leg over that one?
I am, yes. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we're going to be doing a lot of back-to-back testing with it from this year's bike to next. It seems that BMW have put a lot of work into the new bike ready for 2021. I mean, they only brought a new bike out last year, and they've already brought out this new M Sport bike. So it seems they're pretty serious about getting the job done. And obviously, signing Van der Mark in World Championship, that just proves that they're pretty serious about improving the package and improving the results. So I think it's going to be a big step forward for BMW next year.
And now for you as a rider, obviously, I mean, you've already been riding the BMW, for the past few years, and now moving over to the new one. What's involved for you now to make that transition to the new bike?
For us, it's just going to be laps. I mean, as soon as the new bike comes, the team will evaluate it and back to back it to last year's bike, see what's improved and what's changed to the new bike, and then we'll obviously go straight out to testing as soon as possible, and make a plan from there. Test what we need to test and find the areas where the bike's strong, find the areas where we may need to improve it a little bit. But it's just going to be a case of getting laps on it and building some data ready for the first round of the championship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what do you expect? What do you expect from the bike for a start?
For me, I think BMW have been working hard with the World Championship, and they've obviously built a bike where they feel they've improved a lot of areas which they were maybe lacking in the bike from last year and the previous year. So I think they've addressed the problems, maybe improved them, and I think they're hoping to bring a bike out that's going to be a little bit more competitive for us in BSB and in World Superbikes.
What sort of areas would you say then that the BMW sort of needs to work on, or needs to be? What are you looking to get out of this new bike compared to the old one?
I think for us, for me, after last year on the BM, I think a little bit of rear traction, maybe to improve the rear of the bike a little bit. The front was incredible. I never had any issues with steering the bike and stopping the bike. It was just a case of maybe lacking a little bit of rear grip. And I would say it's difficult to say, but maybe a little bit of electronic side of things, maybe understanding that a bit more. But I think we would have got to the bottom of that maybe towards the end of the year if we had a full season. So yeah, I think for us it's not going to be as big of a step as maybe what it will be in World Superbikes. I think for them their most important area is obviously top speed, improving that to compete with the Ducati and the new Honda that's come out. So yeah, it'll be interesting. As soon as the bike comes, we'll be able to test both bikes back to back here, and obviously keep in contact with the BMW factory team World Superbikes and try and make a plan moving forward.
Yeah, of course. And how much actual contact is there then between sort of a team in BSB like OMG and like yourself and the factory?
I think it differs. I think it depends on the team. It depends if you're so-called factory backed or not. I think if you are factory backed, then you may get a little bit more support. You may get information a bit sooner. But I mean, at the end of the day, BMW are going to keep in contact with all the teams that are using BMW, because at the end of the day, they want their bike to be up the sharp end and winning races. So if they can help in any way, then I think they'll be doing that.
And then moving back a little bit, obviously, I mean, you jumped onto the BMW from the Suzuki. What was the main sort of differences between those two bikes?
It's hard to tell. I mean, they're similar bikes in a way because of the engine characteristics are the same. I mean, chassis wise, you just have to learn to ride them a different way. Each bike has to be ridden a different way. You just have to spin laps, get your head around it, and just improve the way you're riding it. For me, the difference with the BM and Suzuki, the BM sort of chassis itself was maybe a little bit more consistent. The changes we made improved the bike a little bit better than maybe it did on the Suzuki. But then again, Suzuki had real good rear grip. So it's a compromise between all bikes. I mean, every bike has its strengths and weaknesses. You just have to find a way to ride the bike in the best way possible and get the best out of the package.
Was it tough wrapping your head around it? Obviously, with a shortened season with less sort of track time available.
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, we lacked quite a bit of testing. We didn't actually go out to Spain the start of the year like the other teams did. So we got a day in Ireland, which was a bit of iffy conditions, and then we got the official BSB test at Donington. Then it was straight into round one. So we didn't actually get a chance to really knuckle down on testing and get some information on the bike. And when we did do the test in Ireland, we was on last year's spec bike anyway. So it wasn't till sort of Donington that we got on the full Superbike and cracked on. So we did lack a lot of track time on the bike, which made it quite difficult to be able to be competitive from the word go. But from the results, we started to make improvements with the bike, started to get my head around it. And towards the end of the season, we was able to get good qualifying. We were able to push for good results in the race. I think if we had a full season, then we would have been maybe a bit higher up in the races in the championship.
Yeah, and absolutely. And now, obviously, with moving from BMW to BMW, although it being the new bike, you can carry that now into next year as well. But with it, obviously, now the season's starting quite a bit later than it usually does. Does that mean now you've got you can have a solid sort of plan and program for testing in place?
Yeah, I think so. I think what myself and maybe a few other riders will do is head out to Spain, maybe the start of the year, just on a stock bike to get some laps in, to get back up to speed, and then for everyone, we got quite a good testing plan this year. BSB and Stuart Higgs have made a real good plan to stay in the UK this year and do testing on the UK tracks. And I think we've got 5 or 6 tests in April before we actually get the season underway in May. So it's going to be very vital to get all them tests done. Make sure we don't miss any of them. And I think it will make the racing better, and it make our job a bit easier to go into the season knowing we got a good package and knowing where we are with the bike.
And moving sort of towards the season, what are your sort of goals then for 2021?
I'd like to be fighting for wins and podiums. I feel that I've had enough experience now in BSB to be able to do that. We've proved we can be on the podium and win races. So I think with the new team, the Rich Energy OMG squad, and the new BMW coming out, I think we've got a strong package and strong team behind us to be able to work well and fight for wins and hopefully get into the showdown if it happens next year and have a chance to fight for the championship. Would
you rather have a showdown, or would you rather have it as a normal sort of year?
For me personally, I quite like the normal year. I quite like just fighting from start to finish. It's a bit frustrating. I haven't been in the position, but if you're 1 point away from getting in the showdown, and then that's your season over basically, because you're 7th for the rest of the year, and that's as high as you can get. So it's a bit of a shame, but then on the other hand, it's good for if you can get into the showdown, you've got a bigger chance to be able to fight for the championship, and I suppose it makes it closer racing for the fans and a bit more interesting.
Does it change your strategy much then? Obviously, going through the season, are you looking to be racking up as many points to make sure you're not in that position?
I think it's difficult to say. I think you just go out and do your race, do the best you can in the races, and that's all you can do. I mean, there's no good getting to round one and already thinking about the championship. You just got to go out there, enjoy riding your bike, get the best result you can, and if by the end of the year you're in the showdown, great. And if not, then something's obviously gone wrong throughout the year. But it doesn't change the strategy. You just go out and do the best job you can.
Yeah, no, for sure. And looking back then on your season 2020, how would you? Obviously, it was a bit of a roller coaster. I think it's safe to say. How do you look back on that? It wasn't easy. The lack of testing obviously didn't help, like I said, but I think a few things hindered me throughout the year. A few mechanical issues in a couple of races. Obviously, with BSB, it's quite difficult. If you end up missing race 1 and not setting a lap time, then you're at the back of the grid for race 2, which then sort of messes that race up, and then means you have to try and get a good lap timer then for the third race. So we had a couple of times where I didn't finish even 2 races, and I had to start from the back of the grid on a couple of occasions, and I missed Donington Park due to a leg injury from a chain coming off and hitting my leg. But yeah, it wasn't the most smooth season, I would say. It was a bit of up and down, but all the times that everything was going well, we didn't have any mechanicals or any issues, and we was up the sharp end and was able to sort of get the bike to where we needed to be.
Well, quickly, while we're talking about Donington Park, Brad, what have you done with Donington Park? Because you had that amazing double there a couple of years ago, and then what was it, last year on the Suzuki, your rear caliper fell off.
Yeah.
And then this year you decided to put a hole in your leg with a chain. Is Donington a jinx after the wins, or what is it? Because you've always gone well there, but you qualified well both times, and then it's just gone to, is it 9 o'clock? I was saying it's gone to shit since.
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. It's a good question. Because you think after
if you look at your form, like from your times and that, Donington is where you seem to go the best at.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think maybe just a bit of bad luck, like you say, that the caliper snapped in on the Suzuki days, which then put me in the back of the grid for race 2.
And you came through in that race really well. And I think, to be honest with you, there was definitely a podium on that weekend. Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of times on Suzuki and even on the BM where there's just a little bit of bad luck that maybe hindered us a good result. But yeah, I don't quite know what what it is with Donington now that's given me a little bit of bad luck. but
Same with
hopefully it'll change.
same with Snet as well. You're doing so well on the Suzuki. I think it must have been about third round there. I think it was the round shaky. No, it was after shaky. It just hurt.
After, yeah.
And you had the coming together with Huewen.
Yeah, I crashed out both races on the Suzuki there, out of the lead. And then, last year...
You got a bit pushed out the way on the last lap.
Yeah, got pushed out by Buchan in race 2, and then I had another issue in race 3. So, yeah.
In that first race of Snet, and you seem to be... I think it was really quick in the middle part of the lap. You seem to really struggle at the end. Was that something down to BMW?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit just that last sector. The way we wasn't able to be able to steer the bike on gas for some strange reason, and obviously that's where they were able to catch me up around just that last sector.
Yeah,
and then Brooks put the move on me on the second to last lap, which then run me wide and let everyone else through. So and obviously being slow in the last sector is probably the worst one to be slow.
Yeah, that's where everyone's going for.
Yeah, if you can be quick in the last sector, you've got a chance to get a good result. But yeah, we just lack of time on the bike and lack of trying.
Yeah, well, there was definitely glimpses of that it could be a good package, and the BMW. I think all of us have seen how good it is as a stock bike, but it just hasn't quite been there as a superbike. So I think maybe, hopefully, this year with a few changes they've made, that might just give it that little edge to get it to the top of the podium.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, everywhere where we're sort of struggling, I think BMW have maybe addressed that with this new bike. I mean, it's always good to have a bit more power, so they've added that. Obviously, the wings seem to be helping the Ducati and the Honda, so BMW have put a lot of time in the wind tunnel with that, and a few other areas on the bike. I think they've changed something with the swing arm pivot, so that might help us create a little bit more rear grip. So hopefully we can get the bike as soon as possible and get straight out testing and work out a plan.
Brad, Michael's got a question.
Yeah, Brad, do you think that they've changed the frame geometry and stuff to try and make the tyres work a little bit better? And do you think that it'll help with the front end next year?
Yeah, possibly. I think the front end of the bike's actually similar. I think it's more mid to the rear that they've changed. And like you say, I think they may have done something to maybe generate a little bit more grip especially with this new tyre that's come out, the new Pirelli. That's something that we really struggle with this year. And I think that they've obviously found that in World Superbikes as well. And like you say, I think they might have addressed that with the way they've built the new chassis.
Yeah, and who's your crew chief next year? Have you got Ray or someone else?
I've got Johnny Gill, so I'm working with Johnny Gill. Yeah, on the. Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my computer went tits-up. I said, have you got Ray next season or a different crew chief?
No, I've got a different one. I've got Johnny Gill, who's working with Mossy this year.
All right,
yeah. So that'd be good. Be good to get working with him.
Yeah. I've Uncle Ray, he's worked with me a lot in the past. He helped me at club level, and when I first started in Superbikes, he's got some crazy ideas, but somehow he always seems to find a way. So I'm sure
he does.
Getting told off about a few things.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think he's working sort of on Carl's side maybe more, but I think he'll be helping in the middle as well. And I like Ray. I've worked with Ray in 2017, and like you say, he is a bit wild with his changes to the bike, but he always seems to come out and get it working in a way that nobody else can. So I think he'll be a good asset for the team.
Is my computer done it?
It's all the gravy that you've got inside it, Michael. That's what it is. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you fine, Brad. Don't worry about that. Don't let him put you off.
It's gone. You'll have to crack on without me. I'll try something connection out, folks.
Yeah, I bet it's something to do. Anyway, never mind. But yeah, sorry.
Over and pause.
Yeah, his internet's a bit slow up in where he is.
Like
but,
me.
Sorry, you were saying. Sorry, Jay, you were saying something earlier to Brad.
Was I? Well, I'm going to say something totally off racing now. And at the last round at Brands Hatch, I don't know his name, but he's an actor from EastEnders, but I don't know him from that. I know him as Tiger from Benidorm, and I made myself look like a right knob because I shouted out in the paddock, "Look, that's Tiger from Benidorm." And he looked at me thinking I'm a right twat. Was he just there for the racing, or was he there on a day out, or is he a race fan?
He's a race fan. He actually does track days as well. And it's through Taylor Mackenzie. So obviously Taylor and Neil do the Silverstone track days. And he was up there.
Danny Waters, my missus just said his name.
Danny Waters, yeah, that's it. And he plays Keanu off EastEnders.
Yeah, I only know him from Benidorm.
And I'm a massive EastEnders fan, so Taylor brought him into the garage, and we said hello, had a good old chat, and I've been messaging him quite often. I think we're going to go and grab a bit of food together in London or something, and he just
looked at. I had the blue hair at the time, so he just thought I was a right knob.
Worth it though.
Yeah, if I'd known his real name, it would have been all right.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Yeah. Right.
Going back to the tyre thing, because obviously you mentioned the new tyre, and I think a lot of people have been talking about it. What was the main differences between the new and the old?
I think compound was one. I think they changed the compound of the rear tyre and the size as well. They actually changed the size of the front and the rear tyre. They made the rear more of a V shape, and I think they made the front a bit more rounded. So it was interesting because we didn't actually find out that we had new tyres until we got to round one. So obviously the different shape of tyre obviously affects the ride height of the bike and the way the chassis is. So we had to do a lot of digging and a lot of research and ask Pirelli actually what the changes were.
You did all the testing on the old tyres?
Yeah. Well, no, sorry. We done all the riding on the new tyres, but didn't realise the changes
right, I got you.
Until somebody sort of mentioned it and said about the new tyres, and we was like, okay, we need to find out a bit of information. So yeah, that probably hindered us a little bit. But yeah, everyone throughout the year was slating the tyres a little bit and was wondering why the change. But I think by the end of the year, everyone seemed to get their head around it a little bit and start making M-ways with them.
Yeah, do you think it's a step forward? Once everyone gets their head around it, they'll be quicker, more durable.
I think so. I think the tyre life's definitely improved with the new rear. Maybe because it's just that little bit harder. But like Michael said, it's trying to generate that grip now to allow us to be able to race and get the lap times and be consistent. But the front, I feel, is a good improvement to what they've done with that, but it's just trying to generate that grip in the rear.
Yeah, in 2019 at MotoGP, I was down there speaking to Simon from Dunlop, and the guy that's taken over the development at Pirelli, he's the former development guy from Dunlop, so it'll be interesting to see if there can be any sort of comparisons made next year when Pirelli just fettled the tyres a little bit more, if they're moving more towards a Dunlop feel of a tyre.
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. I mean, you can almost see from the lap times this year in BSB with how consistent they are and how people are doing quick laps at the end of the race. I mean, 3 or 4 years ago, you would do your quickest lap on lap 2 or 3 of the race and then go sort of backwards from there. But yeah, they seem to be holding their own and being able to last the race distance and be a lot more consistent.
Yeah, I've never put a fast lap in towards the end of a race because I'm always hanging out my arse. But
you give it 100%.
If I can find something to ride next year, it'd be nice to have a go on these tyres and just see if I can give any sort of comparison, just whether they do feel any more like a Dunlop that we used to run on back in the day, the G-Tex and the N-Tex, and then the tyres that Levia were getting were ridiculous. Yet one of Levia's tyres was better than our qualifiers and with 2 seconds a lap, just like that. That's like
mad, isn't it? Mad. Yeah.
Well, I think that's unless anyone else has got any more questions for Brad, I think that's all we've got time for.
Oh, I got one quick one. Obviously, you've rode with Kyle, who's now your teammate, pretty much like all of your racing life. Is it good to have a good friend like that as your teammate, or would you prefer someone like an enemy? Or will you be enemies through the season eventually?
we might end up as enemies. You don't know yet. We'll see how testing goes. But no, I mean, I've raced with Carl, like you say, for most of my life, growing up with mini bikes and going out to Spain together. there was only a couple of years where we weren't actually in the same category or same championship. But yeah, I think it'd be good. Obviously, we're both young kids, young riders. We both want to win, and I think we're both going to try and do the best we can. And obviously, it's going to be competitive. I mean, I know we're teammates, but we're going to be pushing each other. And I think it'd be a good relationship in there for sure.
Cheers, Brad. Nice having you on.
No worries.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Brad. We wish you the best of luck going into the 2021 season with OMG, and we're definitely going to be following.
Yeah, spot on. Cheers, guys.
Perfect. Take care.
Thank you very much, and you. See you later.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
We're still live. This is the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for getting in touch with us via the medium of radio. What do you mean? This is TV, isn't it? Well, no, not quite. It's we call it visual radio because it's a radio but with visuals. Unless you're not actually watching this, then it is radio, if that makes sense. Does that at all? That doesn't make any sense to you guys, does it?
No, as long as we don't call it a podcast, you're all right with it.
It's on Spotify.
It's on Spotify, yes. You can listen back to the show on Spotify. I think we're on Mixcloud right now, unless we've been taken off there for whatever reason. Then we don't play music. Go on, Michael.
No, nothing. No,
oh, sorry.
I don't understand why it's on Mixcloud that wants to be. It's a DJ thing, isn't it? All that, and then you've got 4 dribbling idiots barking on a car. Let's just skip this and listen to these dickheads. No, let's go back. Just say it.
So we're on Mixcloud as well, if you happen to be on there. Hello, Mixcloud. We're also on the Russian VK or VK.
Have we got any more people listening to us on there, Lester?
We had one person, actually. I don't know who the hell it was, but I logged in. I completely forgot about it for like a year, and then I thought, oh, okay, we're on there. And then I logged in, and like someone's actually been tuned in. Unbelievable. Or it may just be. No, never mind. Oh,
what actually is VK?
Don't.
I thought it was
just be careful with what you say.
Drink.
Yeah, it's a drink, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, let's call it a drink. There you go.
So we're live on...
And drinks, if you're in a club...
It's an alcohol.
That will drop her knickers in a flash. If she's stuffing that crap, she's a go.
We've also got Eddie O'Shea on the show a bit later on. This is the Superbike Show. It's Motorsport Radio. We're trying desperately to get Kyle Ryde on, but he might have had a technical problem, I'm guessing, because he's not here at the moment. So we will probably draft in Eddie O'Shea a little bit earlier, just so we can have someone interesting to talk to. No offence. And Eddie will be coming up momentarily. But first, we did have a commentary discussion. I'm going to press a button. I'm going to do like 12 things all at once. It's not easy. It's not easy being cheesy. Anyway, yes, commentary discussion. We wanted to know tonight, following the news of Keith Huewen's recent, his news that he's stepping down from MotoGP on BT Sport, we thought to ask, well, who should take over from Keith Huewen on BT Sport? A lot of people have been getting in touch on the BSB and Fans Support Facebook group. Hello, if you tuned in on there, and they've gave some interesting comments and suggestions we'll get to in just a moment. But I suppose since you guys are here, it's probably worth asking you guys. Starting off with, well, it's a little bit difficult. I mean, they're going to be a bit biased because Trystan's already now a commentator. Jay is a budding commentator / online personality. And Michael Howarth, of course,
He's a knobber.
is an old hand at commentary.
Commentary then.
Don't put yourself down. Stop feeling self-conscious. You're all right, I suppose. Would be a glowing.
Had 3 clothes changes before we come on, didn't I, Lester? Because you were putting me down.
So it was about that. I made a comment about it. He came on with some branded bomber jacket type thing, and I was like, "Why are you wearing that?" And he was like, "I'm going to change now. I'm not. Give me pie and chips." Anyway, so Jay, since you have not recently done any race commentary, I can probably ask you then, who probably should take over from Keith Huewen?
If I could choose anyone, a few people, I did read the comments that got put on the supporters page, and a lot of people put Jamie Whittam. And to be honest with you, that is probably the person I would choose as well. I think since he's been in BSB, I think he's done a really good job.
As the main commentator, as the lead commentator?
In the MotoGP at BT, yeah, I think he'd be a really good fit for it. I just think he's really good. You very rarely hear him make mistakes, and I think his comments are very good. Where Jack Bernacle, is it his co-commentator, should I say? He does make quite a lot of mistakes, but Jamie Whittam always seems to make fun of it, and I think does a really good job. Interesting.
Okay.
Jack won't travel anymore. Pretty much like Julian Ryder. So he's out. That's why he didn't bother doing World Superbikes. That's why they got Greg Ames in.
I didn't know that.
Whittam has said in the past, but obviously if you're offering the right wage packet, I'm sure that'll change. But he said he doesn't know enough about modern MotoGP to get the job, but he's a co-commentator rather than the main commentator. So this is where they're going to have to find the person that they're thinking of. Personally, I think it'll be Steve Day, myself.
Is that who you think should get the role, though?
I'm not necessarily it should be, but I think it's who it will be.
Okay.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know who should, because I really can't think of anyone to fill Keith Huewen's spot. He
seems like the most obvious. I mean, if I were recruiting for that role, I would probably go with Steve Day, to be honest, and say, well, you're already doing the world feed, Steve. Obviously, you're there, and you've done it for a few years now. I can't think of anyone better to step up into that role.
What they should do is give Steve Day that job, and then I can go and work with Britt, and I'll go and do the Dorna feed. But I'm not sure me on a world feed with this knobhead of an accent would work really for Dorna.
Hi, Dorna. Tuned in regularly to the show.
Well, I was saying that I've heard me at Silverstone and invited me back 3 times on the bench, so maybe.
I don't know. I mean, Fred Clark on the BSB radio this year said some revealing things, or it might actually been Larry Carter actually. Thinking.
Yeah, him and Larry aren't going back.
Yeah, they alluded to something which I previously didn't actually know about. To be honest,
to be honest, and I'm certainly not talking out of school now because they've said it. The year before, they'd had enough
when it was cancelled. When it was
cancelled, they'd had enough because they can't get anywhere to. Like Larry's not allowed to go on pit lane, and they're really just not that bothered about having the circuit commentary. But I think it's an integral part of racing. Dorna don't even bother having one at Brno at all.
Oh. Yeah, they did say that on the BSB radio feed, which educated me because I didn't even know that there had been a falling out. But they said this was, I think, when they were trying to brilliantly fill at the very wet, thundery Donington Park round when I think a race got cancelled there because of the weather.
Yeah, I was there.
You was there, but as a non-guest visitor, because there wasn't any visitors this year, Jay.
No, we're talking about the wet round, weren't we? That got cancelled.
Yeah, when it rained.
Yeah, it was.
No, in 2017.
Oh, you were at Silverstone. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Right. I thought you meant Donington this year, because there was definitely no visitors at all at BSB.
I was there. I was working for Fab. I was doing stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, if you were an official, there you go then.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Trystan, you have dipped your toe professionally into commentary this year. Who, for you, would or should replace Keith Huewen at BT Sport?
That's actually a really tough one. I genuinely don't know. I think I'd like to see Greg have a go at it because I think I do like his commentary, but at the same time, I'm not sure it would fit in with the BT Sport coverage, if you know what I mean. I think Cal Crutchlow should have a go.
Can anyone see me?
We can hear you, but I'll bring you on in a minute. Is the dulcet tones of Mr. Kyle Ryde, who we're desperately trying to get onto the show. We'll bring him on in a moment.
Wait, where's the video?
Right.
Oh dear.
That video.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh my
Mum,
God. Okay,
Mum,
just talk for a second. Expand on that point there, Trystan.
I've lost what my point was now. What were we talking
Cal
about?
Crutchlow.
Greg Haynes, you said, getting the...
Yeah, Greg Haynes, it would be good to see, but I'm not sure if he'd fit in with BT Sport's style of coverage. But I think I'd like to see Cal have a go at it.
Did you see Cal and Jack Miller? They did.
Yeah, it was really funny.
They did a bit of commenting for a bit of fun, didn't they?
Yeah, I think we should. Thing is, I'm not sure he could replace someone like Keith. He'd have to come in as a sort of secondary commentator. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he'd be able to come in as a lead. Yeah, he'd be good as like a Hodgson.
Yeah. I would like to see Cal do it, but I don't think he would, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you never know.
Go on, Michael. What?
I think Cal may do a couple of guest things this year when he's at the circuit for the testing the day after. But you never know. They might bring Neil up to be the main commentator and bring someone in new to fill kind of Neil's spot. I think Hodgson's done a really good job.
Yeah, I think I wasn't a fan of Hodgson as a rider, but as a commentator, I think he's a good laugh, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, he's a Lancashire shithead, so I shouldn't really like him. But he's only lived a few miles away from me. He's turned himself around as a commentator. I think he's really good. And Keith Huewen was like Marmite, wasn't he? Yeah, they loved him. I hated it. I like Keith, and I will personally.
I used to like Keith and Jules in like when Superbikes was at its peak, like late 90s.
In the 90s, everything were better in the 90s.
When them two were doing commentary for like when Superbike was at its peak, I thought them two were like the best around at the time.
All right, guys. Fascinating debate. We will continue this a bit later, but we are going to interrupt you because we now finally have our one of our star guests who has, as you heard briefly a moment ago, Trystan, explain who's on the show next.
Yeah, on the show next we've got Kyle Ryde, obviously also now signed for OMG. Kyle, you're looking a bit lost.
I'm literally walking in the street right now.
Where have you come from?
I've come from trying to pick up some leathers.
Okay.
That I need for Friday, and UPS have completely messed the whole job up.
Okay.
So somebody was kindly giving me a lift, and I've actually got out of the car to speak to you. It was lastminute.com, and I completely forgot, and Alex just messaged me, and so I'm here now on FaceTime.
Oh, well, thanks a lot for going out of your way to stand in the cold to talk to us. No,
it's perfectly fine.
Well, let's get down to business then. First off, how was? I mean, obviously you've had a bit of experience on a superbike before this year, but this being your first full year, proper year in the class. First off, how was it?
I really enjoyed it, to be honest, and I think I surprised myself. I'm not sure about anyone else, but I surprised myself, and I was really happy with the work I did. It was a little bit unfortunate at some races with the bike, misfortunes. So I think quite annoying, really, because it made Silverstone look like a bit of flash in the pan. But I think if some of the times where the bike broke down, I could have got a podium, so it would have made Silverstone not look as much like a flash in the pan. But yeah, I enjoyed the whole year, really. I think I worked well with the team. I worked well with the bike. It just shame nothing more come to it. But I thought I had a better deal where I'm going this year, next year and the year after. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and of course now signing for a 2-year deal on the new BMW. What's your approach moving to the new bike?
I'm a little bit nervous, obviously, because I've only had 1 year in the Superbike class, and most people normally tend to stay with the same team. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm full of confidence. I've been speaking to Ray Stringer, who's my crew chief for the next 2 years, and he reckons that the bike turns and the chassis-wise is just as good as Suzuki. So that's boosted my confidence a bit, and I'm going to Portugal on Friday, so I've got 3 days there to get used to the bike and the team. So I'm pretty confident, bit of weight off my shoulders, being a 2-year deal as well. So I'm happy.
So is that at Portimao you're doing your first test then?
Yes. So we're flying out Friday and I'm riding Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So hopefully the weather's all right and I can get used to my bike and my new team.
And your first contact with it, what's your sort of your aims going into? What are you thinking when you're first sort of starting out on a new project?
I mean, it's pretty hard. I think it was very hard on the Suzuki to get going. I think once it clicked, it felt quite easy to be quite fast. But in the Superbike class, it's very hard to find little bits, and it's quite easy to be quite fast. But to get that little bit more out of it's completely a different ball game whatsoever. So, I mean, first approach, it's so hard. I've got loads of different things to try. Obviously, it's a new bike. The engine's going to be completely different. The new bike's got wings on it, so that's something completely different. And I've never rode a Superbike around Portimao before, so I think it's just going to be mainly enjoying it for 3 days and seeing what we can get out of it.
No, of course, that makes sense. And obviously now with you having that 1 year of experience under your belt, it'll help you going into that and trying that out. But I'm going to move back, a little bit, because obviously you've been back in BSB for a few years now, but you spent a bit of time out in World Supersport. What was that like?
Very difficult, obviously, as many English people know. Well, if anyone knows, anyone around the world, World Supersport's very hard. And yeah, I've just really struggled with the Kawasaki, if I'm honest. I just always got to a certain pace and I was just stuck at that. And any faster I went, I seemed to crash. And as you've seen from last year, I only crashed once, and that was trying to ride round the outside of a British champion last year. So it was pretty stupid of me, but that's the only time that I really crashed last year. So I think I crashed over 5 or 6 times that year on the Supersport bike. So it was difficult. I really enjoyed the experience, and I think if I had not done that, it wouldn't have made me the rider I am now. So yeah, it was a very good experience. Not many people can say they've been in World Supersport for 2 years and teammates with Kenan Sofuoglu. So I'm glad we did it. It's definitely made me the rider I am now.
Yeah, of course, because I mean, you did that. You came into it. You did that wild card on the Yamaha and put it on the podium, and which was extremely impressive. So what was it? What was the difference then, moving from the Yamaha to the Kawasaki?
Main differences was it feels a little bit like what the situation is with Johnny Ray right now. I don't think if any rider jumped on his bike, they would be able to do what he can do. Because he's done what he can do, they've almost developed the bike round him. Same as Marc Marquez, obviously the Honda's been developed round him, and no one really can do what he can do. And I think the Kawasaki is a little bit the same. Even like you're seeing, Lucas Mahias won the championship on an R6, and then even though he just about got going last year at some races, he couldn't do what he did on the R6. So I think some of it's riding style. I do think the Kawasaki is capable of winning the championship, as Sofuoglu's demonstrated. But for some riders, especially like me, being fast and flowing and hanging off the bike and not so much braking hard, I really struggled with it. And especially being in a foreign team, Italian team, I didn't really get on with the language barrier and stuff, and it just never really clicked, really. So a couple of good weekends, but most of the time it was a struggle.
And then what was it like then, moving back into the UK?
Moving back into the UK was obviously a big decision, but it was one of them that I had to do. We couldn't afford to do what we did out there. For people that wanted to know, it did cost $100,000 to be Kenan Sofuoglu's teammate. And
we've been speaking the last couple of weeks about how expensive it is to be in World Supersport now, and it's impossible to have a free ride whoever you are in World Supersport now.
Yeah, that's basically it. Even there's some news come out today about Tommy Agata riding for 10 Karte, so everyone thinks, bloody hell, he's got a good ride, but there's no shadow of a doubt he's paying $250,000 at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough. And 2017, that was the deal. We started the track, and riding in England in 2018, we were still actually paying off the debt for 2017. So it was not a nice experience. Family wasn't happy with it. And after that, I told myself if it was ever going to come to that ever again, then I'd stop racing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
How much of that then comes from sponsors? Because obviously, I mean, I don't know what your sort of experience of it was like, but because I spent a year in World Supersport 300, and I found that it was actually more difficult to get sponsors, UK British sponsors, to sponsor you out in World Championships than it was to get them to sponsor you in BSB.
Yeah, I mean, I've raced in obviously England since I was 5 or 6. So you develop sponsors, and I've had a couple that have been with me since I was 6 years old. And even those people that are like family to you, they didn't really want to help out going abroad. And it's just because they can't come and watch you. They can't see it at the weekends. And it's not because they don't want to support you. They almost enjoy being there with the rider because they like family. And like you said, it's almost like you've got to dish out to a completely different set of sponsors. If you've got 10 sponsors that sponsor you for Supersport in England, you've almost got to find 10 different ones to go to World Supersport. So yeah, like most motorbike racers know, especially in these conditions with the virus and stuff now, it's almost impossible to get new sponsors.
Yeah, no, for sure. And but now looking, towards next year, you've signed your 2-year deal. Obviously, I mean, you've been sort of jumping around between bikes for a little bit. What's it like now to have that, to know that now you're going to be consistently on the same bike with the same team for the next 2 years? Yeah,
it's a completely different experience for me because it's never happened. It's always one of them times where mum and dad are remortgaging the house in March and everything's stressful, and it's one of them times where before Christmas I've got a deal signed up for the next 2 years, so it all feels pretty strange, but I'm sure it's only going to make my life a little bit easier and hopefully make me a bit of a happy rider and more of a fast rider, I hope.
No, for sure. And obviously now, at the moment, you're not really seeing many 2-year deals signed in BSB. So what was it that sort of brought that approach about?
I think the OMG team are really keen to work with me for not just 2 years, but maybe a bit more. I don't know their plans for the future, but I'm sure they'll want to expand. I don't know. For me, at this minute, it's really nice to have a 2-year deal in BSB. I don't want to be changing teams every year. I just want to stick with one really and build on that. Like I said, I snapped at it straight away when it was a 2-year deal because it doesn't come very often. And it's nice to, obviously, there's going to be a few tracks where I get on well, but there's going to be a couple where I struggle. So it would be nice for the second year to understand where you struggled to make it better. So you're going to get better every year, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
And in terms of a long-term plan, are you looking to sort of stick around in BSB for a while, or is there any intentions to try and make it out over into World Superbike or Moto2?
Yeah, I knew you was going to ask that question at some point, and obviously we've all watched Jake this year in Moto, and how amazing he's been. And for the riders like me, for riders like Bradley Ray that have the same age as Jake, we personally think we could do similar things. We just never really got the chance, and I'm so glad for Jake that he's got the chance, because it shows that there is some English kids our age that can mix it with Moto2 boys. We just need a little bit of a breakthrough, and you never know what could happen. So yeah, my plan is very open to anything. If somebody offered me a Moto2 ride in 2 years' time, I think I would probably take it.
And
what about you, Sean? We offered you a ride with BMW in World Superbikes.
Yeah, so that's another thing. That's another reason why I left Suzuki, because there's no path to World Superbikes, and there was no new bike coming out for Suzuki, and there's a new bike for BMW. So yeah, you never know what could happen. You could be the fastest BMW rider for the next 2 years, and you could get a path into World Superbike. So that's where I was at, really.
So yeah, so it's definitely something you'd consider, along with like a Moto2 ride. Would you? You'd definitely consider it if Sean Muir came and offered you a deal and said, "Listen, come and do this for a year or so," and maybe do it the way that Cal Crutchlow went, doing Superbikes and then across to MotoGP. Yeah,
I mean, I don't feel it sometimes when I wake up, but I'm still quite young. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, to MotoGP, every young rider will take it. So I mean, at the minute, I feel like I've got a better chance with what I'm doing now to get into the world stage again than I have where I would have been with Suzuki. So yeah, I don't know my path. I don't know what I want to do. I always wanted to go World Championship, but both times it's not really worked out. So hopefully I get a chance and call it third time lucky.
Sorry, can I just...
Go on, Michael. You carry on. You're the one chatting.
Kyle knows my thoughts to his family, and I followed his career forever when I was in BSB and whatnot. That he's one of the best riders I've ever seen. The talent that this little dickhead has, this rider has, is amazing. When you can see what he can do with a bike, it's ridiculous. Honestly, for someone that knows what they're looking at, just because I can't ride very fast, it doesn't mean I don't know what I'm seeing. And he's one of the best natural talents I've ever seen on a motorcycle. And I wanted him to go all the way. And then I think it was last year on Facebook, he kind of put a post underneath. He went, "Hey, you used to be my hero. Now I just think you're a knobhead." And since then, all I've thought about doing is leaping on his mother, splitting his mother and father up, and becoming his stepdad, just so I can beat him. But no, I think whichever direction you go, Kyle, I think you have got the makings of a world stage rider, and you're one of our talents, whether it be World Superbikes and winning that and taking over the mantle from Johnny Ray, or going to Moto2 and taking over from where Jake leaves, because Jake is probably going to end up in MotoGP for at least a couple of seasons. So I do wish you the best of luck on that, mate.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll carry on now. The Silverstone race win, Kyle. You show on that slowdown lap. You show a lot of emotion, and you touched on it earlier. Is that down to what you said, what you've put your parents through and what you've been through? And did it feel like a massive weight off your shoulders that finally, it's getting somewhere now? Yeah,
that's it. It was almost like it wasn't so much winning the race. It was almost like, you know what, that's to everybody that never thought.
Stuck by you.
Yeah, that's to everyone. And it was weird because I didn't really notice that there was no crowd. I didn't look for a crowd. I just emotionally got upset for my sakes, because I've had a couple of rubbish years, and I felt like it all come together at the right time after a couple of misfortunes at Snetterton and Donington when we could have got a podium. It all come together nicely there, and I was ecstatic for half a lap. Then the rest, I was crying. And
no, it was great to see that emotion. It's good to see people do that, to be honest with you, because it shows you don't take it for granted, and that you have worked really hard for it.
Yeah, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get back to see my mum and dad. They was at the top of the list. I just wanted to see what they was like. So it was a very nice weekend. The whole family, the whole village, and everything. We had a big party when we got back.
Don't say that too loud.
Oh, I'm not bothered about that. The local pub got loads of champagne in and stuff, and it was a brill night. So it's nice to know that it's not just my mum and dad that put sacrifice. It's all the village and everything. So it's one big family.
Also, obviously last year on the Suzuki, there was a lot of misfortune. You had a lot of DNFs. Was it down to one problem with the bike, or was it just different areas that the bike was just letting you down?
It was all, 2 or 3 of the issues was basically down to just bad luck. A couple of times Taz McKenzie blown up, and mine literally did the same thing at Donington. The first race, we probably should have had different radiators on that we did get sorted for halfway through the year, which means we didn't have a shield on, so a stone flicked up and went through the radiator, so the temperature through the roof. So it was just a bit of bad luck that made it look bad on TV and made the team look worse than what it actually is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I will never slate the Suzuki team. They was the people that picked me up when nobody else did, so I respect them for that. And it was just a shame. It made them look a little bit worse than what it actually was, because it was just a bit of bad luck. And sorry. And you still hear me?
Yeah, just can still hear you.
It was just bad luck, and then it was just a shame that every time I was either leading a race or at Snetterton where I felt comfortable, something just happened. And it was a shame it never happened when I was in 12th or 15th or something. It was always when I was in the top three. So well, at least it didn't help. At least it didn't happen when you were winning that Silverstone race. That was the main thing. Yeah, that's it. It was leaving at Silverstone in the first race when I was lining Brooks up. The front fairing bracket snapped and the front fairing hanging down, and I thought, for God's sake, not again. Luckily it held together. My helmet was flapping about for 4 laps because it couldn't get tucked in. Sweet. Also, why are you out getting levers on a Friday night? Are you riding somewhere at the weekend? Well, I've got 40 miles. this should have been turning up today. They spent a massive £200 work cost to get them delivered today, and UPS have knackered them up. So I'm out doing some digging. I need to pack my bag and everything tomorrow, so I need to make sure they're there, because I can't be racing round porting out for a new team on a BMW with Suzuki leathers on.
No, or you're going to have to start unstitching the Suzuki logos.
I have to find a new job.
All right, cheers. I don't think anyone else got any questions, have we?
No, I think we're good, and I think that's all we've got time for from Carl. So, Carl, thanks a lot for coming on and talking to us and standing out in the cold, listening to us blabber on.
No, don't worry, my hands are freezing.
Well, we'll let you get back into the warm then. Thanks a lot for coming on.
No worries.
Cheers, Kyle.
See you later.
Bye.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Awesome, right?
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Yeah, fantastic to hear from Mr. Kyle Ryde. He made it here eventually, and all credit to him to be braving this cold weather while we interrogate him. It is the Superbike Show. This is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome if you're still tuned in live. My name is Lester. We've got Jay King. We've got Michael Howarth, who's just recovering after his big dinner, and Trystan Finocchiaro. And still to come on the show, we will have a discussion about who should take over from Mr. Keith Huewen on BT Sport. And also, coming up next, another fantastic talent for the future, Mr. Eddie O'Shea is going to be right here, and we're going to be interrogating him on the Superbike Show.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
Boom. Absolutely. Thank you to people who have already been in touch with us on the Superbike Show this evening. We will get to as many of your comments in the comments box below. Thank you. It's always good to read those out, especially, anytime really. Two fantastic interviews there, guys, from two fantastic riders, and we've got a third on the show. Jay, please introduce to us who our next guest is.
Could you mute him first, please, Lester?
Oh, yes. Could you unmute yourself?
Hello.
Right,
Hello.
I'd like to welcome to the show British Talent Cup rider in 19 and 20, and now the Red Bull rookies in 2021. Welcome to the Superbike Show, Eddie O'Shea.
Thank you.
How's it going, buddy? What have you been doing since the season has ended?
I
saw you were out on a pit bike today, weren't you, at Sutton Racetrack?
I was at Sutton a few days ago. They lended the track out to us for the day. Me and a family friend went down on our pit bikes and just had a play about. Been to the gym. My personal trainer has sent me a few equipments, and we've been doing a few online classes together. He's been doing everything he can to help me stay as fit as I can during this lockdown that we're in.
Well, right. What I'm going to start by saying is congratulations on getting the Red Bulls rookies ride. Were you expecting it, or was it just an absolute total surprise? Or because obviously there was no selection process this year because of COVID. So how did you enter anything, or was it literally just a total surprise?
So we entered into the selection process. But obviously, it couldn't go ahead because of the COVID situation. I was not expecting it at all. There's likes of riders like, Johan Mir was in it this year, a few years back, and he just won the MotoGP.
Yeah, I know.
Kyle Ryder's in it, Brad Ray, all sorts. It's a huge opportunity that I've got for next year in the rookies. We entered a selection process, but it didn't go ahead with COVID, and I just luckily they've chosen me to be one of the lucky 9 riders that they chose.
Did you know that there were people from like Red Bull watching you while you were racing in BTC this year, or?
No, absolutely not. Obviously BTC is still involved with Dorna. is in the British Superbikes. But yeah, so Dorna have been watching the past year, and I'm feeling incredibly lucky to be a chosen rider to be in the rookies for next year.
So the calendar's out now. It's like, obviously they're all new tracks to you, but is there any one of them that you're looking forward to riding more than the rest? I can imagine Mugello is one of the ones that you're really looking forward to.
Yeah, well, obviously they're all MotoGP tracks, so it's crazy to think what the tracks I'll be riding. But I am looking forward to Assen.
Yeah.
At the start of this year,
you was meant to be there.
It got announced that we were meant to be there, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and so Assen was off the charts. But I've been lucky enough to get another shot at Assen next year.
Yeah. So have you been practicing any of them on the PlayStation yet, on MotoGP?
On the MotoGP game, I've been riding as in the Rebel Rookies as main rider. Yeah, and obviously next year it'll be crazy to think I'll be on the game, and I'll ride as me on practicing on the tracks, which is absolutely nuts.
Obviously, there's been quite a few of our English boys that have raced in Red Bull Rookies before, like you said, Brad and Kyle, and a lot of them have come back, and maybe if they've got time, they'd come and race in what was then GP 125s. Will you come back and do some British Talent Cup rounds if you can get to any? Yeah, for sure. We've still got a bike. We'll do as many wild cards as we can. Dorna, we're still waiting to announce the CEV ride for next year. It could be anyone. Yeah. But fingers crossed. But we can't. We haven't been told anything yet. It's still waiting. But we will do as many wild cards in British Superbikes as we can in the British Talent Cup Championship. So you mentioned the CEV Championship. So do you think you're maybe in with a chance of getting in the British Talent Cup team as well? Well, obviously that'd be a bit mind blowing if you got. It would be insane to think that they would to pick me for that stage. I feel ready if they were to give me the opportunity. But there's so many riders that they potentially could have got this year, like the Franco, Harvey, Charlie, all of them. It's really difficult because obviously I see you guys come through the Metro kits, and I've got to say, the year you came through 50s and 70s was probably one of the toughest years in Metro kits there's been. Like you said, there's you, Evan, Harvey, obviously Casey as well. So I think the talent through those 2 years of coming through Metro kits is extremely tough. The likes of Evan was fast in the Metro kits. They got Bailey as well. Bailey. Casey I rode within the 50s. We were all, breaking lap record after lap record, and it was a crazy year in the 70s. And then I got lucky enough to be chosen for the British Talent Cup in the second year of it. With Dorna. Talking about that, obviously you're one of the few riders, along with Harvey, that rode in the British Talent Cup in the different formats. So you had the format where you're all in the one big gazebo, should I say, and then you rode in this year where you were in your own little teams. Which did you prefer? Did you prefer it as the first format or the second in being in your own team? Well, there's obviously pros and cons with both of the British Talent Cups layouts. The first year was insane because we got to ride with the MotoGP at Brno and Silverstone, and there was the likes of Scott and Fenton, and the riders that were absolutely insane at riding the Moto3s. Then this year, by ourselves in the motorhome, just with me and my team, it was a completely different experience. It's kind of like going back to Fab, really, isn't it? It gave a fab vibe to BTT this year, but I thoroughly enjoyed it the whole way through this year. Also, going back to this year, obviously, at the start of the year, you were extremely consistent and you were getting podiums regularly and things like that. But I could tell from the TV you were happy to get them, but I could tell you were really gutted that you just couldn't get that race win. You came so close so many times. Was it really hard through the races to think, oh no, I've got to settle and think of the championship, or was it every time you just wanted that win?
Every time I went out in a race, I always wanted to win. First round, Donington, we got so unfortunate for the engine to blow, and we were fortunate enough to have Charlie Farrer's team and Ryan Hitchcock lend us an engine for the weekend. So that was round one out the window. I think I ended the weekend on 2/5. So then I just tried to be as consistent as I can, not crash, score as many points as I can in the races that I was in. But then if you watch the races from BTC this year, red flags weren't on my side. Me and Casey were always battling for the race wins, and both times he came out on top with the red flag situations. But that's racing, and it's all luck, really, isn't it? Obviously the riders were okay in the crashes, but I really wanted that win, and to lose out by 0.008, I think it was, to Casey.
Snetterton, yeah.
It was devastating at Snetterton.
I think the worst one was Donington in the wet with Harvey. I think you thought you had it because you were absolutely gutted when you got in the pits.
Yeah. I was gutted at Donington. It was pouring down with rain, and down Craners, it was insane. Me and Harvey were both having moments. Going down Craners and up Schwantz, it was nuts. So there was no grip. I was expecting a red flag situation for the amount of rain that was on the track. So every time I crossed the line, I've tried to cross the line in first because I did not want it to happen again. And every lap, I consistently crossed the line in first. And the red flags weren't on my side on that day. And Harvey was making his move every lap to try and get me into the Melbourne loop, and he made it stick around the outside into the final corner and got the drive to the line. But it is what it is. I tried my very best to win in that race. I tried my best to win in every race.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah. So going back to the Red Bull rookies this year, obviously it's going to be an absolutely huge learning year for you. You're going to go to every track because you've got to learn. Obviously, it's a totally different Moto3 bike. But what are you hoping for this season? Obviously, I think you want to try and basically prove you're good enough to get that second year in the Red Bull rookies where you can take it a bit better.
Yeah, obviously it's completely different bike, completely different manufacturer. Obviously with the Red Bull rookies, the bike being a KTM, and they're a little bit faster than the Hondas we're riding in the BTC at the minute. It could be a completely different bike, and I'm hoping for some podiums and even wins this year.
Really?
Next year, giving it my all for a second year in the rookies, and maybe even a third if I get lucky enough. But I always feel if you watch the rookie riders on telly, whether that be Mir or like Quattararo, you always prefer the underdog. So you always prefer the one that shouldn't win, if you know what I mean. So getting a few podiums, I'm hoping should put some praise towards my name, and hopefully give me a second year in the rookies, like you said.
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to be there with Scott Ogden. Do you know Scott very well? Obviously, you would know him a little bit through Fab, but obviously he's a few years older than you.
Obviously, me and Scott were in the BTC year one together, the format. I know Scott fairly well. Obviously, we came through Fab together. We were in BTC last year, so I know him and his dad all right. Yeah.
So have you been cracking on with your Spanish yet? Are you fluent in Spanish yet or not?
No, not quite fluent, but I can greet someone. I can greet them.
All right then, Eddie. Well, that is all my conversation with me. I'll hand you over to Trystan if he's got any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm still here. You haven't bored me. But no, obviously, because you're a very new name in racing. You're only 14 years old. What's it like coming up through the ranks so quickly and being where you are at your age? I've
been racing since I was 6 years old, starting in NMRRC Championship. This is now known as a BMB. Then working my way to Fab, riding a Mini for a few years, and then working my way up through the Metro kits. And then obviously BTC Year 1, the first format, was a huge step up for me. I've never rode a Moto3 bike before that. And then this year, I gave it my all. After, I'm really started pushing this year. I had in my head, you need to win this championship. And I gave it my all. Led the championship for most of the way. Unfortunately, at the last round of Brands Hatch, we had some bike issues with speed. The engine kind of gave way, so it was not up to pace at all. And then in the second race, getting wiped out by Bailey, but no hard feelings towards Bailey. It is what it is, and it's racing. And congratulations to Franco for winning the championship, obviously. It would have been lovely to win the championship.
Yeah, well, clearly, your talent has been spotted because you've been given the opportunity to move up into the Red Bull Rookies, which I'm sure you're excited for as well. But going, more about the sort of racing in Talent Cup this year. It was pretty much, a lot of the races was pretty much between you and Casey. What's it like riding against a rider so small and light?
Racing against Casey is he's a different rider to the likes of Franco and Charlie. Casey's more of a obviously smaller and lighter. He's a very small lad, and he rides the bike in a different way. So you sort of have to acknowledge the fact how he rides the bike, and you have to follow him for a few laps to see where you can make the pass. So Casey obviously announced that he was in the British Talent Cup this year, coming back from Spain. We went to the test in Jerez, and he blitzed it. He was first by I think over 2.5 seconds, and we all started to question this kid's fast. And then through the championship, we've all slowly found our pace. Casey is a good rider, but he's a different rider because obviously he's smaller and he's unlike the heavier riders such as me, Franco, and Charlie.
Do you think that's what kind of caused I wouldn't say it was neither their fault, but the accidents between Harvey and Casey, just because their riding styles are so different, where Harvey carries a lot of corner speed because of his height and the much he weighs, and just how Casey rides because he's so little. There's just a coming together because of the different sort of riding styles.
My personal opinion is that it was a racing incident.
Same.
In the first incident at Donington, Casey tried to stay on the outside. Harvey, obviously, that was his line.
Harvey kind of knew where he was going.
Harvey knew where he was, and he had the power to control where Casey would go.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Harvey pushed him, but I'm just saying
at the end of the day, the track's there for everyone to use. So
the track's there for everyone to use, and I personally think that was Harvey's line. The inside line is always the line to be on, and that's the line Harvey was on. It was a racing incident, and then the incident at Brands when Harvey tried to go on the outside. I think it was the complete opposite. Casey around the outside, Casey at the inside, Harvey around the outside. And they've just came together, and they've both unfortunately came off. I think, like you said though, because they ride so differently, but they're two very aggressive riders.
Yeah.
Then they both want that line at that time. I personally think it was a racing incident.
It was definitely entertaining to see the entire season, really, in Talent Cup as well, Eddie. You were almost winning the championship without winning a race. I know that's not how anybody wants to win it, potentially, but Well, I suppose you were an example, and maybe Dorna picked up on. Well, they obviously did see that. Just being consistent, just being a nice, clean rider. You don't have to be elbow to elbow. Knocking each other off. Leave that to the people up front, and you can whiz up and take just regular podiums. And that's how you almost did it up until the last round. And it was interesting to see your reaction as well. It's been commented before about maybe what a mature attitude you had to such a devastating last round at your age as well. So all credit to you for dealing with that disappointment in that way. Although if you were watching live at the time, you've probably forgiven Eddie for not being so calm and controlled. I think the microphone on the Eurosport microphones picked up a couple of words that you said.
No, I think
Bailey.
he held it together pretty well, to be honest with you, Lester. If it was the other way, I'd have probably done something a bit worse.
I can't blame you anyway for being a bit disappointed, but within minutes he was fully calm and composed, and Dorna saw exactly that, and also as well, not just the entertainment that you've been providing in the British Talent Cup paddock, but as well on pit bikes in Fab Racing, which we will.
We're not talk about that.
Well, that we're going to talk about next, actually, because Jay King's been diligently preparing a pit bike segment on the show, which we've been sort of teasing people with, and maybe I don't know if you fancy sticking around too, because you also race alongside Jay, occasionally beat him on pit bikes.
Occasionally. I don't think Jay's anywhere near.
Well, now he's going to be out of the country a few weekends this year. I might get a chance to actually win.
I think what was it? I can't remember the category. Was it Ella Park or something where you had an incident at turn 1 or something? And
Luckily, he broke down in that first race, and I managed to win that one.
Is that the one where my rear wheel was loose and I had to pull out?
Yeah. I didn't touch it in the night, I promise.
All I remember is you sort of sat on the floor, kind of like in Fernando Alonso meme style, looking very disappointed with yourself.
I did the crash compilation video, and you nearly wiped out bloody Ryan Hitchcock at the first corner in an extreme race.
I hit Ryan. That fall off.
Don't you mean racing incident?
Is beyond me. But his bike was so quick. It was tuned to a T, and it just took off in a straight line. So I had to make the move into turn 1 at Ella, and brakes weren't quite as sharp as I anticipated. And
you're not coming this weekend to B&B, are you, at Ella?
No.
Oh, no. Thank God.
We saw you a lot of the time coming from the back of the grid and carving through the field, which was always entertaining to see.
It's because he always chooses the wrong tyres.
Maybe. That's always interesting when you guys do that.
He still managed to win it, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there was you and... I'm forgetting names now. I should have prepared.
Charlie Nesbitt?
Yeah, Charlie. And the... Yeah. It's like I wasn't there, but I don't know. It's my old age.
You don't really pay attention, though, do you?
No, I'm just
all
watching
down to me and Gareth.
Yeah, it was. I've got Trystan in my ear screaming and stuff, doing commentary.
I've got a new bike for next season anyway, so you guys are going to have to watch out.
Well, yes, Jay King, Pit Bike 140. Double champion in 2020 and 2019 as well, who will be...
Rossi Banham, that's who we
Rossi
forgot.
Banham, of course, how could you forget?
Eddie did say that like 5 times.
Well, okay, fair enough. But between you all, anyway, you all provided a fantastic show.
I think Rossi is in the British Talent Cup next season, so...
That was his intention, I believe. I don't know if it's definitely confirmed, is it?
I think if he can get it sorted on the big bikes, I think he's a good rider, because he's very quick on the pit bikes.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, he's Rossi's an interesting lad. For some reason, he's terrified of doing interviews. For some reason, or just doing it interviews with me.
Well, this would be another reason why Eddie got the Red Bull Rookies, because I think he's very good with interviews.
That's another reason, of course.
You've got to be the full package, haven't you?
Well,
You're always hard to find, though. We could never find you in the paddock to get an interview with you. We only managed it once.
We only,
I'm crying for red flags. I'm crying for red flags.
Well, yeah.
That must be it.
Also, I'm going to embarrass Eddie a bit here, but if it was down to dance, if it was down to dancing as well, he'd get it because I've seen his dance moves in Benetton. And he's extremely good.
I could say the same about you, Jay, but I'm not the same way.
Well, I'm trying to get Leicester and Trystan to come at Benetton this year, but they're not having it at the moment.
I'd be down if you've got a bike for me.
I mean,
are you coming this year, Eddie, or will you be too busy testing other things?
Well,
he looks over to say, "Can we go? Oh, can we go?"
It entirely depends on.
I can tell you're looking for your dad, aren't you? To say,
I am, yeah. I'm like, are we going? Aren't we going? I want to go. I'd love to go.
Okay, that's a deal, and that sounds like everyone's going. Pending other obligations, but it'd be good to see. I don't know if you will have time between doing any rookies and Talent Cup and to do the occasional fab round to maybe show the other kids, how it's done. Because it's interesting to see as well. Because I've been in the fab.
What are you trying to say, Lester?
Well, okay, you're in your 30s now, I think, Jay. But But it's interesting to see. I've been in the fab paddock since 2016, and I saw a picture on really early on where there was a class photo of the year, and I was like, "Who's that?" And that's like, "Oh my god, that's Max Cook. Oh my god, he looks like a little thing." And then you were there as well. I think in I think you were there in 2016 as well, weren't you?
Yes.
I think you would have been in the Kawasaki livery stuff when Fab did that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, when the teams were involved with BSB.
Yeah, because for a long time you raced on the green liveried Kawasaki type.
Kawasaki livery.
Yeah, that's okay. I remember now. Okay, and it's just interesting to see your progression to now be one of the people still, even though you're still very hilariously young, to still be one of the people that the new generation of kids on the mini motos look up to. It's just weird.
Well, the kids on the mini motos now are still beating their lap records. They're very fast, and I'm expecting one of them to be at least one of them to be coming up to the British Talent Cup sooner or later. The kids from Fab are tremendously fast on both metro kits and on the minis. But I'm still lucky enough to hold the lap record at Landau on 70, mainly due to the fact that we didn't go there this year.
I think you've probably got some lap records on the pit bike as well from this year. I haven't updated them this year, but I reckon you've taken a few.
I think I've got Wilton.
Have you?
Yeah, I think so, on the mini fit, on the one.
Oh, right. I've got to try and get Roger to update him. But trying to get Roger to do anything on a computer is pretty tough.
Hi, Roger. He's not tuned in. He's not watching. But yeah, Eddie, fantastic to have you on the show and just catch up. And don't be a stranger. I'm sure we will hear about your exploits racing in all the lovely tracks all around Europe and stuff and whatnot. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if you can grace our presence again in Fab Racing, maybe one day.
Absolutely.
That'll be good.
Thank you, Eddie, for being the first person to say yes to me about coming on this show, because all the others just ignored me.
Oh,
no worries, Jay.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you once again for coming on the show. Eddie, for those who don't know, has been diligently waiting for a good hour before he even was on the show. He was just waiting, which is unlike. He's been sat there for a good couple of hours. Well, so have we, but anyway. Thank you for coming on.
Technical difficulties with the camera, so we were rushing around like madmen trying to fix it, but we managed to get it sorted.
I'd imagine you've got school or something tomorrow or whatever it is that young people do.
School tomorrow.
So we'll let you go. It's getting on a bit, 9:30 and all that. And thank you very much for coming on, Eddie O'Shea.
Cheers,
fantastic
Eddie.
to hear from you. This is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio, and we will continue right now.
Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
Yeah, defo, it is Motorsport Radio, and that's fantastic to hear from Eddie O'Shea. So still to come here, we do have lots more still to come, including a commentary discussion. I will get to some of your comments that have flooded in. Thank you very much. A lot of people suggesting people like Gavin Emmett, Toby Moody should perhaps make a return to GP, but has he had his time? Personally, I might like to see someone who's not done MotoGP, just because I think that might have been an interesting thing to mix things up a little bit. Someone who maybe you wouldn't expect, someone who's, as I say, a bit not inexperienced, but just someone who's not had a go yet at MotoGP. That would be interesting, I think, from my point of view.
Couldn't believe the amount of people that didn't want Greg Haynes from the comments on Facebook. I'm with Trystan. I would like to see him given a chance as well. I quite like his commentary on World Superbikes. That is an option, of course. That is one thing. Michael Howarth's. We didn't cue him back in. Are you all right there, Michael? Are you still with us?
He's lost.
He's just realised that he's back on now. He's taking us for a walk.
Please
not to the toilet.
Please don't.
Oh
he's
my God!
To the toilet.
That'll do. No, thank you. Oh Jesus Christ!
There we go. I couldn't unmute myself again.
I told you to unmute yourself. No, you go. Unbelievable.
I know, but I couldn't piss and do it. My fingers are too fat, you knobhead.
You're talking to me. This is me you're talking to. Anyway, loads of comments regarding the commentary discussion. We have. I'm just literally reading through the comments. Steve Ashley, hello, has been in touch this evening. He recommended Gavin Emmett or Toby Moody. Jody Lees said Whittam, the best from the list of people who we were reading out earlier. Jody recommends Angie Wood said Hodgie would be good to replace. I think the sentiments that have been echoed also earlier. Some people who I think we've pretty much well covered on the show, but keep your opinions rolling in. Who would be best to take over from Keith Huewen on the MotoGP coverage?
Some people mentioned Shaky as well. I didn't know if anyone would think he would be any good.
I think one person that on the comment line. I don't know.
You'd have to get someone to fill Keith Huewen's shoes, and that wouldn't be Shaky. So if you put Neil in the place of Keith, then Shaky would be a good fill.
So like an apprentice sort of thing.
Yeah. There's a bit of a difference between kind of a presenter, then head commentator, and then co-commentator, isn't there? You know, as you well know, Lester.
How would you get on? Do you reckon, Michael?
I would really like Michael to do it.
Because I reckon if I'm like the boss of...
Give it a bash, but give it a bash.
If I'm the boss of like BT Sport or like North One, the production company, who actually are responsible for hiring them, I don't know if they had any previous notice that Keith was actually standing down. Seemingly few people did. But in your mind, you generally have like who you would have as a backup, a reserve. Just like, I suppose, if your star man, aka Lewis Hamilton, goes down, you're always thinking in the back, well, who am I going to get? You know, really quick to step up. Well, I don't know. I haven't thought about that, but that's because I'm not responsible for hiring the MotoGP. But to be honest, thinking about it, I would probably approach someone who has already worked at Dorna, or someone that would work at Dorna already. And as much as a nice guy that Steve Day is, and Greg Haynes and everyone else, I would probably approach for MotoGP, and I don't know if this will be a huge mistake, probably either maybe Tom Brooks, who's previously done World Superbike World Feed commentary in like when you were racing Supersport, Trystan. Maybe him on league commentary with maybe Michael Howarth. I don't know if the pair would like end up strangling each other, probably, but because you never know.
He's a bit posh for Michael, isn't he?
That's what I mean. It's a
contrast.
bit, yeah. But sometimes those things work. Like, I don't know. I mean, people who know Dan Marr, who've worked with Dan Marr, who's a journalist presenter here. He has a very different type of personality to Kiko Giles, former presenter of the show and co-presenter of the Breakfast Show on Motorsport Radio. I decided to stick them together on commentary. Yeah.
I thought them two were quite good together.
Exactly. Sometimes you have the opposites and they just like attract. It's not necessarily about, you know, who you get on blazingly well with, who's your best mate. Sometimes you've got to pick who'd be good on a microphone. And
was there only ever difficult moments with those two working with each other?
It was very sort of, and if anyone knows about like the relationship that James Hunt and Murray Walker had together on F1, it was kind of similar to that. But it was great to see anyway.
In what respect?
They didn't. Their personalities were like, let's say, extremely different. But they were both very professional about it, and they were very good working together. And ultimately, as I say, sometimes you don't need to be like someone's best mate to produce a fantastic bit of coverage. So you know.
We know that. We've worked that out.
We have, darling. Yes, we have. Fantastic.
I mean.
Let's face it, us four are never going down the pub together, are we?
Oh well,
I'm offended.
I've had a pint with Trystan. I bought him a pint.
A pint of what?
Don't say what it was.
Well, we're all going to be hitting these Benidorm nightclubs in March, aren't we? When everything's back to normal.
Yeah, because I'm going racing. Apparently, what would I do in Benidorm when everyone's? I'm just sat watching. No.
You can do all these pictures that you say you get behind on.
Oh, you want me to do some work? No, I don't.
Yes.
I don't. Anyway, moving on. So it is the Pit Bike Show, aka Superbike Show, and we've been telling Jay to put together a Pit Bike segment because he has missed a Pit Bike Sonic on the YouTubes. There,
everyone is immediately switching off now because they don't want to hear about it.
You're a content creator, Jay. You're an influencer. That's a flu, isn't it?
Well, we'll call it that.
Anyway, so yeah, pit bikes then. And you, what have you been doing on your channel lately? Oh, he's off. Yeah, see, everyone's going. I'm going in a minute.
What's going on my channel lately? I've been basically getting ready for this. It probably is going to be my only outing. I don't like doing winter series rounds. I don't really see the point of it. I haven't done a winter series round in about 10 years, and if any of you have ever rode a bike in the freezing cold, Trystan probably never has, but your hands go numb after a couple of laps. It's really hard to work on your bike because you're cold, but because it's Ella and I haven't done a B&B round in a really long while, I thought I'd go give it a bash. So next weekend we're there. I have got some, might not be interesting to everyone, but I have got some extremely big news.
Yeah, what's this extremely big news that you were?
I can't say it yet. In the pit biking world, it can't get any bigger than pit biking world. Shall I say pit biking in England? It can't get any bigger, really. But
you're gonna have to tell them more. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a big change. I've been riding my own bike now for 6 years.
Oh, have you got some sponsorship?
Pardon?
You've got a sponsor, have you? A proper big, yes.
Kind of a sponsor. I'm not saying anything.
Oxford Racing Products, J King. You heard it here first.
I can't say anything. You're here before Christmas.
Are you denying that?
I can't say anything because there's small sponsors I've had this year, and they can't know until I've got this right. It's all muddled up, but you'll see. So we're going to do the Winter Series round, and then I probably won't do any more of them because it looks like Spain's going to go ahead now because everything is going to go back to normal by January, isn't it, lads? Yeah. Well, there you go. So that's basically it. And then obviously I'm waiting for you to tell me all the fab dates, Lester, that you haven't told me yet. So
me? You suggesting that I know something?
Well, you told me you don't know the tracks, but you know the dates.
There's a lot of fab parents.
You're going to have every parent now.
I do not know.
You've landed him in it now.
Thank you, Jay. Jay says he's going to edit the end of season highlights by Friday. So There you go.
Yeah, where's everyone's interviews from brands?
Back to pit bikes and tell us more about the costs then. So I'm me, and I know virtually like nothing because I'm like new to pit bikes and whatnot. And I want to go racing, Jay.
Yeah.
I've only got like, I don't know, how much do I need to even start? And what do I do? What do I buy to even like for a total noob?
I don't know if Trystan or you watched Taylor Mackenzie's vlogs that he does on his YouTube.
I watched the one with Brad Ray on it the other day.
Yeah. He did an excellent one the other day because he's trying to kind of fund.
Oh yeah, I did see that one actually. Yeah, that's very good.
He's trying to do it through YouTube, isn't he?
Yeah, and he did a really good video of a cost breakdown of what it costs to run a stock 1000 on your own, and I think it came over to about 275,000 for the year. So maybe that'd be a good YouTube video. But the cost to get a competitive bike,
or just to get me on the grid, because I mean, if I'm just starting out, I know I'm not going to be at the front of the grid because I'm just starting out. I just want to get on the grid.
That leads me on to my new little championship that I've got for Fab next year, the Rookies Championship.
Tell us more, Jay.
I will personally be running. It's nothing to do with Rob or Roger. Obviously, they know about it, but I've always felt sorry for the guys, even though it is great that we do get to race against the likes of Brad and Charlie and Eddie, who we were just talking to. It is really hard for amateurs coming into the sport, which what pit bikers are. If you're a pit biker and you're not from like the BSB scene, you're coming in as a total amateur. So I'm setting up a Rookies Championship so those guys can have their own battle throughout the season. They still race against us. And still score the same points, but they would be in their own little Rookies Championship as well.
Because it must be sort of intimidating, like you say, total newbies coming in, and suddenly you're like, oh my god, there's Eddie O'Shea, and there's like half the British Talent Cup field. Oh my god, there's Brad Ray.
Even for me, I wish that sometimes they wouldn't turn up, but there you go. But yeah, like a cost for a decent starting pit bike, you're going to want wets on wheels with the pit bike, because with this country it's pretty pointless not having wets. You're looking at around 1,600 quid for a good package. Your entry fees for a Fab and a BMB meeting around 90 to 100 pound for a weekend. So it's, if you're looking to go racing and you can't afford to go do that big bike racing at club level or even at BSB, pit bikes is an excellent way to do it. I was very lucky to race big bikes when I was younger, not at BSB level, just at club level, like Super Teens and 600s. And I get just as much fun now I do of pit bikes as what I did when I raced big bikes, and probably even more so, as I've mentioned it too in a few interviews with you guys, like with the social side. The social side at Fab with the adults is really good. We all muck in, we all help each other out. Even though there's competitiveness on the track, off the track, the whole class is we all get on really well. If anyone needs spare parts, we'll always help each other out. Or
a couple of beers if they're a bit low in the evening.
Yeah. There's all. I won't say too much of that, but there's always a few beers. The Moto Team boys.
A vibrant social life, let's say in the
Sorry?
A vibrant social
yes.
element.
The Moto Team boys, they normally go for the port, really. They do like a few glasses of port in the evening. Simon Clowes, if you're watching, hello.
Hello, Simon.
or Vince, he's normally watching as well from the Moto Team boys, which that's going to be an extremely good class next season as well, because obviously we've spoke about the Free Tech Championship. Hi, Hudson. The Moto Team class is going to be extremely busy next year. The classes are going to be separated all the time, and I'll be in that as well, riding a 125 pit bike. So yeah, it'll be very good.
Okay, so I've got an idea now then of roughly how much it costs just to get on the grid, and what is generally involved. I've been to a couple of races already. I've seen I'm not absolute total noob. I've seen roughly what to do and how to, and maybe I've got a few mates who also have raced. So where then, Jay, is the best paddock to go racing?
Well, I'll tell you after this weekend, because I'm going to go to my first BMB meeting.
Okay.
I think it's the first time in 5 years. So I never tell people which one they should go to. It's totally down to kind of your situation in racing. At Fab, you've got to be there for the whole weekend, really. You don't have to do Friday practice, but it's good if you can.
It's more of a weekend experience, isn't it?
Because you need to learn the tracks. But B&B, I rode there from 14 to 17, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Had some really good times there. But it's more catered to the people who just want to turn up on a day meeting, because they do their qualifying and racing all on Sunday. So if you're unable to, you haven't got a camper van and you can't stay overnight, things like that, it's very good in that situation. But B&B paddock's a great paddock, and pit biking generally in any championship is really good socially, because you're talking to people. These guys, we're not doing it for a living. We're not doing it to become famous one day or anything like that. We're doing it because we enjoy it, and so everyone will help each other out. It's the cheapest motorsport you can do in England, I believe. So no one's there with massive egos or anything like that. It's just you're all there to have a good time, and that's how pit bikes should be treated, really.
Yes, very well said, if I say so. In the good atmosphere, the camaraderie is the word I was looking for. Definitely comes across. And to be honest, I don't have any experience of being in B&B or in the paddock, so I wouldn't know. That's kind of why I asked, really.
Well, like you said, we'll get those BR8 boys to come to a Fab meeting as well.
Hello, guys.
We can get what they think of both championships as well, and I think they'll probably say they're both similar, even though they are different. They're the same, really.
They may say that they're both equally good, or something along those lines.
People seem to think because I do Fab that I have a downer on B&B, and that's not that at all.
People seem to think that just because we're on a bike show, we must hate Formula One. It might be a similar sort of thing. I don't.
Yeah, I've got no comment.
All right. Yeah. No. Okay. Anyway, miserable sorts.
Right.
So anyway, I know Jay, Trystan, you've also got a bike. What have you got? Some sort of a pit bike. Am I right?
Is Trystan coming to play on the pit bikes this year?
I don't know. I remember him telling me that he had some sort of KTM type thing. I don't know. Has he got?
Have you got an extreme 200?
I don't know. What have you got, Trystan?
I've got to go pick it up from Luton, actually. Yeah, I've got a little KTM 85.
Ah, I was right.
Will you be coming out for a play this season then, maybe? In between working?
If Leicester lets me, if I can commentate in the saddle.
Insurance doesn't.
Well, there you go. Look, I'll do a swap for Trystan while he goes out and does the extreme race, because I'm not doing extreme this year. I'll commentate on that.
We will. I don't know. I've been trying to convince Michael Howarth to turn up at a Fab paddock.
I'll absolutely.
There you go, Michael Howarth on a mini moto. You heard it here first.
Yes, get Michael Howarth on the mini motos.
Okay, now I make a Superbike look like a mini moto.
But generally, it's I suppose it's a good atmosphere.
Michael Howarth will fit in with the Birkins properly good, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, get back to some decent news. Like Hickman going away testing, and he's been out with on his little oval bike today with Ami Sasaki, that's at KTM now. Them two have been wandering around some track today.
Tell us more. Yeah, tell us more. I don't know about this.
That's as much as I know.
Right, okay.
Him and his team have gone out testing somewhere, and he took his oval with him. But there must be a little mini moto track near him, and he's been out with the Moto3 rider, that Sasaki, is he called? He was at Petronas and now he's at KTM.
Yeah, Sasaki.
Yeah, they've been spinning some laps today. One thing I forgot to mention when Carl was on, we might have a first for British Superbikes, that when he was testing on Friday, is it for 3 days, his crew chief, Ray Stringer, can't go for some reason, so they're going to be doing their debriefs and everything by Zoom, which should be interesting to see how that works. Instead of having your QT sat at the side of it.
Is that because of what, COVID or something?
Well, I'm guessing so. Either that or Ray just can't be arsed. I very much doubt that, because I would imagine the prospects of Ray and Carl working together, that'll be a good thing next year. Ray's, like I said when Brad was on, he's got some crazy ideas as Ray, and he can't do anything with the engines they receive from BMW because they're kind of sealed almost. I don't know whether they're on 6.2s or whatever, but Ray's ethos has always been build the fastest bike you ever can, and then try and make the chassis work around it. So that'd be interesting next year.
One thing we haven't mentioned either, Luke Mossey has signed for Dave Tyson's team. Does anyone know who the main sponsor is for that team yet?
Well, I don't think anything's been announced.
I know he's got one, but I'm guessing they're releasing that maybe next week or something like that. I know Dave's been listening in tonight, so if he fancies popping up and saying anything.
Well, I did ask him this morning, and he didn't allude to anything, which is fair enough, I suppose, if he's got nothing to announce.
And got Jack in Super Sport. Which
that's I didn't expect that. I thought Jack would go for another season in BSB, to be honest with you, after he had a bit of a with the team stopping halfway through and that. I thought he would stick around for another year.
It shows how brutal the Superbike class is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because he had an all right season and then was just sort of chopped, and now he's straight into Supersport again.
For whatever reason, Tag didn't seem to be able to get the 2020 bike working at all. Whether that was a partial excuse, and it sounds horrible to say that, but whether that was what it was, and they just didn't want to run for the rest of the year because they were getting nowhere. But did Sean run out at the last round at Brands in Super Stock on a Honda? So you imagine that's where they would have been going. And you thought that maybe would have wanted to stay in Superbikes if that was the direction they were going in Superbike, because the Honda proved itself as a cracking bike out of the crate.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you watched Chrissy's last podcast as well, but
not yet.
I know his name is Scoot, but I forgot his name. The guy who does
Larry. Yeah.
Yeah, he does the media work for PBM, and he said this week that will be announced if there's any rider changes there, but he expected it to be staying the same. So it looks like it'll be Christian Idden and Josh Brooks on that bike, them bikes again next year.
It's not a massive surprise.
No, they'd be crazy to change that, wouldn't they? With Josh being the champion and Christian. I did say this on a show last year or maybe the year before this, that was on saying that maybe a change would be as good as a rest for Christian, and he's a Superbike race winner and a potential champion. And as soon as he moved across to PBM and got the tool underneath him that he needs, he proved himself straight away. So if you were Paul Bird, I wouldn't have invested into either of those riders without thinking you'd be keeping them for at least 2 years, or an extension with Josh because he's champion.
Yeah. Indeed. It's just really now basically what the Suzuki team are going to do now. I've heard rumours that Danny Kent's going to get one of the Suzuki rides, but they normally have two, and they haven't really we haven't really heard anything from them yet.
I think Gino Rea might be sticking around on that one. I mean, nothing's been announced. Nothing's been announced
I hope he does, really.
But I think there's a strong possibility it'll be Gino, because he sort of alluded to it, didn't he, when he was on the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did say.
I hope it is Gino. I think he can be a good rider if he just gets that second year on the bike.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I would imagine his sponsors will be happy for him to stay there, because I know Gino does have quite a good set of personal sponsors behind him, and they were the partial reason why he broke up with Bike Animal Racing, apparently. So yeah, it would make sense for Rickin's lot to maybe keep Gino, because as you say, he was progressing and proving himself, and he had some good results. Yeah, and bringing Danny Kent on board. He's got a few people behind him, and the kid's a world champion at the end of the day.
Yeah,
he I suppose he deserves a chance, really.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I said on this show, I think on the last show of last year, just when he was just starting to make his comeback, that actually he should be given a chance in BSB again. Just at the same time when everyone was like, "Oh no, he should be," we never see him ever again. I was like, "No, let's give him another chance."
Yeah, he's a kid and he made a massive cock up and a massive mistake, but everybody deserves a second chance. Let's face it. And
exactly.
At the end of the day, no harm came to anybody with what he got done for it. It's absolutely in the past. I actually sent him a message saying that you need to grow from this now, and and use your status as a rider and a former world champion to prove that when you can make a mistake like you did, that you can move on and you can grow from it, and it doesn't have to be that path of being a dickhead. You know, we can make a mistake, and if you come back for it and people can learn from your mistake as well as you, then that makes you a good person and you deserve the chance.
And I think in the future, nobody will really give a shit, to be honest.
No, at the end of the day, no one talks about the Finocchiaro incident anymore, do they?
No.
Don't get me started about
one?
No. But one thing, just before
There
we've
was
only got
many Finocchiaro incidents.
yeah, we've only got a couple of minutes left. But one thing that we've not mentioned, which was big news this week, World Superbike calendar has been announced. Did we mention this on the show at the start? Trystan, I don't think
We did, yeah.
But the biggest news is, I think, that that it's not going to Australia this year. There's no Phillip Island and no USA round, which a lot of people anticipated anyway. Trystan, an interesting calendar. Only 2 non-European rounds.
Yeah, that is interesting because, like you say, we mentioned earlier that they're going Indonesia and they're going back to Argentina. There is another round that hasn't been announced yet. It's to be confirmed, but I reckon that's going to be
Cadwell Park.
Probably Cadwell
Obviously.
Park, or if not Mallory.
I shall ask my sources at World Superbike. Kiko.
Well, I'm thinking that's going to be a non-European one because it's the last round and it's straight after. So probably Qatar, I think, would be a good guess.
I think it's a real shame we're not going to Phillip Island because that normally produces the best Superbike racers, to be fair.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And Donington, when you said there's only going to be World Superbikes there, you've got to believe that it'll be some sort of fill of support classes from British Superbikes, be it Superstock and Supersport.
Yeah,
maybe
that's a
British Super
possibility.
Series, probably a British Talent Cup round will be there as well, or the Motor 3, whatever they call it now. And then following on from World Supers, and I don't think we have touched on this, and this is pretty big news, that Triumph, they're coming back and with the trial of this 765 engine, and they're coming back with Simon Buckmaster's team, the PTR effort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost as if we said it on the show last week.
Before it was announced.
That was going to be the case. Oh, it was certainly a heavy rumour that we were.
I thought we
around.
said it was going to be the British team, weren't it?
What?
Yeah, it is the British team.
Is it? I thought we were talking about World. Sorry, my fault.
No, Simon Buckmaster's stepping in from World. Apparently, that was it. He had done a deal with Triumph to run their bikes in World Super Sport, and then the decision was taken that it was going to be run in British Super Sport to trial it along with the Ducati. So Simon Buckmaster's come back to BSB because obviously when you've been in World Superbikes for a number of years, you get concessions and your tyres get paid for and your transport gets paid for. So it's a big thing to lose if you come out after 3 years. But apparently the deal's been done so that he won't lose that if he does go back to World Super Sport while he's running the Triumph in British, allegedly.
Interesting. And that could be a project that then does go over into, that could possibly go back over into World Supersport. Because I think if the rules go well in UK, they will be then using that probably, most likely, in Worlds.
I mean, you've got, as far as the Stuart Higgs and his crew goes, they always tend to make the right decisions, and they always seem to level the playing field pretty quickly and make it so. I'm not surprised that Dorna have kind of put it across to Stuart and said, listen, you sort this out and make it work before we put it on the world stage, because Stuart and his guys are very good at that sort of thing.
And you saw how difficult it was at World Championship when they brought the Super Sport 300 class out, and how the second year the Kawasaki 400 came in, and it was very, very uneven.
Yeah.
Anyway, some just talking very quickly, get some other comments in before we go regarding the replacement of Keith Huewen. Not so much a replacement, but Keith Huewen, if you don't know, has stepped down from his MotoGP commentary role with BT Sport. He said he's not retiring, which led to another flurry of rumours amongst people in the industry that maybe one day we might see him back at BSB. That would be interesting.
I would complain about that.
Maybe him and...
people have been saying, who do people want?
Lynn Humphreys says it'd be great to hear Steve Parrish have a go. Former bike man, obviously. A lot of these suggestions are like the names who would all come to the mind anyway. Will Kearney says Toseland would be up there. Which is a bit of a random one, maybe. I don't know. Michelle Dexter says Steve Day, and someone else agrees, get Toseland in there. Gary Poole says get Carl Fogarty. Steve has been in touch. He says Toby Moody with Jules and Neil Spalding. In the past, that was a fantastic combination, apparently. So says Steve. Maybe even Colin Edwards now on commentary. Yeah, I could.
I don't think he could go a full. I don't think Colin Edwards could go a full hour without swearing, could he?
Well, I don't know. How do you manage it, Michael?
Very difficult in most things. I guess with Colin Edwards.
Michael Howarth and Colin Edwards. Now that would be a partnership.
You need an auto bleeper.
It was either 2016 or 17. I was commentating at the British Grand Prix. Me and Colin went to what is now it was the Petronas team when they just had the Moto3 team. We went to their hospitality and we got grappa out. They give us a lot of grappa after a lot of beer and a lot of wine, and we were drinking it out of teacups and we got smashed. And I turned up late for work. I got there at 12:30 on Sunday, so I'd missed all morning warm-up and everything, and most of the first race.
What a pro.
And Colin Edwards had to be woken up from his motorhome live on air by BT Sport. We both got that.
A lot of people have told me that Colin Edwards was the last bike racer that was like the partier in the evening and then race on the Sunday. Like everyone, I think Rossi said it. He said there's no one like that left now. They're all in bed by 8 o'clock and things like that.
Well, when he was racing, I went to Donington to MotoGP and went and sat in his motorhome, me, Carl Harris, and he was there with bottles of whatever beer it was, with chewing tobacco in and one empty bottle, spitting this chewing tobacco in, bing, talking to his wife, who I thought was a goddess at the time, and like, you're racing tomorrow, you're one of my heroes. He's like yeah, I thought, you'll do for me, boy.
That's definitely on my bucket list to go to his boot camp, because that looks insane, just firing guns and riding bikes about all day.
Yeah, he's a top guy. He's a cool man.
He definitely is. Other suggestions for who might take over from, or who probably should take over from Keith Huewen on BT Sport. Gary Teese says Matt Oxley with Michael Laverty for the main race, then Gavin Neal for Moto 2, and then Toby Moody and Julian Ryder for Moto 3.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I mean, Eurosport do have a pile of commentators on BSB, so why not? He says definitely not Steve Day or Greg Haynes though, and I won't say why. That's me. I won't read that out basically, just because I know them to be nice guys.
It won't be Julian Ryder for the same reason Keith's retired, and
he's had enough for the travel, hasn't he? So
he won't travel, will he? So maybe Toby Moody would be a good shape to come back. But I
did used to like him.
I think we should start the campaign that I'm 42 and past it, and I should be given a year at least training. I think we should get a campaign. I very much.
Good luck with that.
Get him in the right room, Lester.
But me, I don't have any sway with anyone for anything.
You have contacts, don't you?
Well, I know Kiko. and Liam. They're the only people I know, but they're not at BT Sport. So.
Kiko now, isn't it? I remember him bumming at my settee one night when he were at Alton Park, and he took his socks off, and I'm like, I think you better put bed back up. And as he was sleeping in them, you smell a little bastard. Yeah, I'm off to bed, young man.
Yes, it's all glamorous in the media world. But Angela Jake's been on, or Jake's. Hello, Angela. Hello. Suggesting that Bradley Hicks, who's quickly following in the shoes of Steve Day, apparently. I've never actually heard Bradley commentate. It's something that I would like to hear commentate. I don't know if anything exists of Bradley Hicks commentating. Who's Bradley Hicks? I don't know. I've not heard him. Well, I know who he is, but I've not actually heard him. Dave Smith says someone with Tourette's.
So Michael Howarth.
That could be me, couldn't it?
Possibly. Another suggestion for Bradley Hicks. Bradley Hicks replies, that'd be his dream. Let us know what you sound like, Brad, because I have no idea. And Alistair says, who's Ben Edwards? Bit cheeky, that, isn't it? To the post that I put up on the BSB and Fans Facebook group about the commentary. So there we go. No conclusive answer. I guess we'll just leave it up to BT to hire probably Steve Day. Or will they go adventurous maybe and do something else and maybe hire, I don't know.
Matthew Burt's just as good as Steve, isn't it? I have a lot of time for what Matthew's got to say. Matt Burt, that works alongside Steve Day. No?
Yeah, no, they're good.
Was that a question or a statement? I don't know. I don't want to take any sides or anything. I don't know.
I think. I mean, he's been in the motorcycle industry forever. He's got an awful lot of knowledge. He would actually be a good replacement for Keith Huewen. Thinking about it, it's he's got plenty of knowledge and can talk long enough about the intricate parts of racing. While Neil Hodgson comes out and goes, "Look at that!" And I won a World Superbike Championship once.
It may be a good shot. Maybe we have been overlooking Matt Burt all this time. Maybe he might be the guy. Who knows? But the conversation will rumble on. This is the last Superbike show of 2020. Thank you very much for tuning into any of them. Thank you, especially Michael, for coming on some of them. Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Trystan, who's persistent.
My pleasure.
Persistent
It's been a
mithering.
pleasure, Lester. Hopefully you renew my contract for next year.
Yeah, at the same price. Deal. There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, he's been Tristan's persistent mithering to get the show back up and running. So you can blame Trystan as being the reason why we're even doing this show right now.
I'll happily take blame.
Thank you, Trystan, for letting me have my dream job.
You're very welcome. It was my idea to bring you on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Definitely. And if you've enjoyed even like 5 minutes of the show, then good.
Good for you.
Yeah.
A New Year show for a recap of the season's antics.
Maybe, yeah. We should do like something like a something. Get I'm sure we can drag a few people on. I've already put my request into the Marquez's. They've already told me to piss off for an interview.
Did you not get anything back from?
I'll get ordered on tequila. I'll make it a good show.
Did you not get anything back from Casey Stoner?
Not yet. No. Apparently he's
very tired.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. This has been the Superbike Show, Motorsport Radio. Glad you've tuned in and wasted a couple of hours with us. Thank you to all the guests who we've had on tonight's show and throughout this shortened season. Depending on whether Trystan can be asked doing it again next year, we might or might not be back.
We will be.
All right. See you then. Bye.
See you later.
Conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
I am Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.